Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to. I'm recording again. I'm sorry. And welcome back to. Welcome again to my workshop too. And as I told you, my agenda today is to discuss three issues. We want to provide feedback about the pre-class activity. We want to provide some feedback about the resources and the information, maybe hints about the class test that will be held next week, and we will discuss and solve the tutorial, the workshop of today. Now, let me go please to the results, to your results. As you can see, this is your results, and I have already uploaded in Moodle. So as I told you, the list students get from D to HD. Some of you get 11, or those who get 11 actually, because I added 1 mark and they already get 10, but this will be counted for them because end of the semester, I will add all of the pre-class activities and divide it by 10. So which means if you score 9 next time, you still get the full mark for this one. Now let me give you some advices how to do this thing. This time I uploaded for you the financial crisis. Now, if you look at the time given, see those guys. This guy take 29 minutes, 35 minutes. So you can see the minutes of your colleagues how long they take. Okay, this guy takes 60 minutes, but actually I give you 2 hours. Now I told you, okay, look at this. Look at my recording of 1 and 2. And the purpose of that is to give you some motive to look at them. This is one thing. And the other thing is also at the same time, they are useful. They are useful. So when you merge the motivation of, taking the pre-class and also the doing those things, reviewing the recording or the slides, whatever, it will be much better in your performance. Now, even though I give you 2 hours for very easy for question that maybe not take 10 or 15 minutes to do them, and then only the what you call the critical question, which is the essay question, that one maybe will take some time. I asked for 100 words this time. But even though, when you are inside Moodle, taking the test, take your time. Go and search. Look at this. They are talking about the financial crisis, whether there is what you call credit default swaps or no. I will just search whether Malaysia and Australia were actually, impacted. Yes, I can search very fast. Everything in the internet, and then you can see what easy to answer the questions. For example, in the video I uploaded for you, it mentioned clearly the credit default swaps, and everybody was using it. So this is the way to do it. You have 2 hours. I will always give 2 hours. You can look at the things. Even you can go back and look to your videos, whatever. You have enough time to do it. So there is no way not to score very well. For the critical question, I always appreciate what you have done, what we do, but I will give always full marks for that one. And now some of the students this time, I think one of them, 1 or 2, they nail, no, I don't know. Just 1 word. I still, the 2 marks still there because it's actually, I think they have to look at this in the future. Okay, let me tell you. Of course, there was big team to look at 162 answers. There was 15 students. They don't know what they are. I wrote to them. They didn't answer me. Some of them answered me and did it last night. Thank you. And they sent me email. Thank you. But the ones who didn't do it, please let me know what's the problem. You didn't know that pre-class. I have around 162. I have around 14 students, 15 students who didn't try it. So if you are among them, please see what we can do. Send me an email and see how can we solve it. At least for the next ones, you are prepared. So this is the pre-class activity. The question was the risk that were involved in global financial crisis, GVCR, interest rate risk, off-balance sheet risk, credit risk. Actually, everything. Just to give you a simple thing, what happened during the financial crisis, in 2000, they were already going in housing. Ellen Span, who was the head of the Federal Reserve, decided to increase in 2005. There was after September 11, there was really depression, almost depression in the U.S. So they decreased the interest rate to 1% to stimulate the economy. Now they continue with that. By 2005, there was so much inflation, and now Ellen Span decided to raise it to 5%. As you can see now, there is an interest rate risk, which means all those housing loans that has been issued between 2001 to 2005 actually were granted according to, this is one of the problems, were granted according to 1%. And because like what we have with the nature of the housing loans, they will give you the basic lending rate plus the spread, your spread. So in Malaysia, for example, you will tell you what is the rate of the housing. They will tell you 2 plus, 3 plus, which means actually it's variable. They will give you the plus what? Plus the PLR, which is the basic rate, the overnight rate. So when they increase it, so they take their spread still fixed. But when the annual span increases it to 5%, which means every single borrower has to pay 4% more. And that actually was not really a good thing. And this is where, people started to think about foreclosures, refinancing, getting back the loans, So the interest rate risk was one of them. The off-balance sheet is when they started to, which will be the subject of next class, there was something called securitization, which is actually like loan sales. Securitization means they back all those housing loans, as is shown in the video, and then they divide it to CDOs, 3 classes, risky, less risky, I don't know what, and then they insure it through AGM, American International, EIG, American International Group. Now, if you look at this, what happened is they say, okay, they give the investors those CDOs. And if the CDO, you take the CDO, and are you going to pay me the coupons? Of course, I will pay you the coupons. But those loans, actually, when the banks started to issue loans, they started to issue for the good ones. When the good ones were finished, they started with what we call the prime owners. They started the prime owners, and then they started to list quality or subprime borrowers, which is not eligible actually. But they say, okay, we will back those loans even if they are bad, but we have insurance. And that insurance was actually the default swaps, the credit default swaps. And the credit default swaps, their prices started to go high when people started to see risk in the market. And EIG was issuing it. Lehman Brothers was issuing it. Everybody was issuing those what we call default swaps. So when the foreclosures started and the defaulting increases of all those houses people cannot pay, and the prices of the houses goes down. You buy a house for 300,000, now it is 50,000, and actually you are selling it and you are paying installments based on the 300,000. So you just go and refinance. Even if you are a good customer, you say, okay, take your house. I don't want it anymore. Let's settle. And then I will take another house and refinance or buy another house. So end of the day, everybody was selling the houses. So it was a banking crisis and housing crisis. So people didn't pay, which is credit risk. Interest rates started with what we call when they increase it, Ellen Spanman increased it, which is a central bank head, to 5%. And then the off-balance sheet. The off-balance sheet is actually this item, which is actually the credit default swaps. Okay. Now, credit default swap were used extensively. It's very clear. Yes, everybody was buying it. Pension fund was using it. If you are interested really in the financial crisis, please watch one movie called The Short. Okay, Short is actually one of the movies that explain that thing very clearly. Okay, I don't want to take you to movies and all these things, but I mean you can look at it. Short means going short. This is a finance term anyway, not short man or whatever. Now, credit default swap were used actually. The origin of the financial crisis was the US. This is very easy to understand. This Malaysia and Australia actually they were resilient. Their financial system actually were okay because they have less exposure. And this question, if you couldn't know it, if you Google did Malaysia get affected by the crisis, you will see it very fast. So all I want to say now, next time, I will give you questions, some of them from the videos, but if you want to, to write something good, or you want to, you have 2 hours, and it shouldn't take all the things more than 1 hour. Because you will watch the video, and of course you will watch the what you call my videos and my lectures, then it will be just easy for you. One more thing, I think there was one student who told me, "Sir, can you give us, bring them in, bring the videos and the lectures early?" Yes, I want to actually to do it and to fix the date of Friday. But I want to tell you, my friends, and please listen to me. I am revamping the whole unit. If you look at all my slides, all my exams, all my assessment, this semester is different. And I wanted to make it actually easier and efficient. So this is the other day, sometimes I don't even, hello? Sometimes even I don't, oh, there is a question here. Said the professor, in question 3 didn't, but I think the question itself here, if you look at here, the global financial crisis is most likely to be recurring financial events. I think he said, there is a question, he said in question number 3, the origin of the financial crisis. I meant 2008. He said all I was talking about 2008. When I said the financial crisis, I meant the 2008. I'm really sorry if you didn't get it well. If you think I was not fair to you, please write me an email and I will solve this issue for you. Okay? Binan? Okay. There is a private chat here saying that. Okay. Now this is what I tell you. So I will try to fix it for Friday. So on Friday, I will try to make my tutorials the tutorial, the recordings, and the slides. But I told you sometimes I didn't even have good sleep those days. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any research. Just working in this unit because revamping everything. And as I told you, to make it Peter, there is another. Yeah, Mark's already posted. Mark's already posted. Mark's already posted. Uh, yeah. Okay. Uh, there is another question. I posted under the. I think I posted the market module and under week 2 pre-class. Please check it there. There is another question saying, sir, can you explain why question number 4 is true? Malaysia and Australia actually were less impacted by the financial crisis. And the reason why they were not impacted is two things. First, the regulation was very strong and the exposure to the derivative market in the US. So the derivative market, the derivative market to the US, of course, they were impacted, but not impacted as some European countries. Some European countries actually, or the US, those countries actually, for example, in Malaysia, there is no, you cannot trade derivatives. There is no derivatives here. In Singapore, yes. And the exposure to the American market was less. And the the housing market and all those issues and the credit default swaps, and in countries like Denmark, even the municipalities were investing in the housing loans in the housing sector in the US, and they were part of those investors who buy the CDOs. So actually, when the crisis came, yes, it was contagion. There was an impact, but it's not like the country was highly invested. Some investors from some countries, like in Saudi Arabia, one of the big investors, he has $20 billion. He lost $13 billion during the crisis, which is almost 66% of his investment. So Australia also the same. They have very, very strong regulation, and the exposure towards the American housing market was less. So did I answer your question? Did I answer your question? Person who asked for 4? Okay. Now let me go to the global financial crisis. This is the answers. So what I did is, actually there was big team trying to see this issue. So I take the whole 162 students, and the team read every single contribution and question number 5. It takes them a long time. So we divided to best, excellent, good, okay, and to be improved. Now I have it all. For the 162 students who tried the exam. However, I choose then the best ones. So this one actually was legend to best, and then I make it excellent. Look to this guy. There is the numbers here is 24, 99. I don't want to reveal the names and the IDs. I just wanted to make it. He knows who is he. He's among you, I know. So he wrote so many good things. He wrote about the crisis. He wrote about research. He want to research. So I shared this document with you. You can read it. He talked about academician, what they say, industry, what they say, new research, what do they say, and then he bring his opinion. So you can see this is almost 150 words or whatever, and he bring, he connected the COVID-19. He connected also the COVID-19. And so if you look at what he said at the end, um, he talks also about the regulations. So the conclusion is that there is uncertainty. And the good thing I like about this writing here, he said, we are not going to have a financial crisis like what we had with Lehman Brothers. We will have a crisis, but we will have it in different name, different shape, different causes, which means all the time uncertainty will be there and crisis will be there. So he's actually, also he said, I don't know, but actually he is choosing, yes, I agree. It's just the how broad and how wide he went was for me impressive. I'm I mean, legend thing. I like it. From a student, I mean. This is just a student, second year banking. I don't know what he will do when he graduate or when he become in the industry. But thank you, sir. I don't know who you are. I know who you are, but I want to thank you. And then this is 99. Don't worry about this one. This is just the numbers like that. So those people all right. So I divide them between best answers to excellent, yes, best answer and excellence. This is the one I uploaded, and I uploaded around 17 pages of them. I have 21,000 words of all your writing, so this is what I choose. So the rest of those, if you want to know where you are, I have the records. Just tell me where you stay, and I can tell you where to what. So what I reported is just the excellent and the best. Now we have good, we have okay, and we have people actually who didn't not try it. So this is the feedback actually for this thing for the pre-class. Next class we will have another one, but it will be about securitization. It will be easier than this one, but just follow the same process. And I tell you, if we do well in this, I think we can get the you can just score the 10 marks or at least 9 marks. I mean, at least in the HD area, 8 to 10 marks. Some people will get the 10 marks easy. Any question in this stage, please, before I move? Sir, there is a question here. Said, if I am not wrong, there was capital risk in the first question. Was that supposed to be originally included? I can include capital risk, but actually capital risk was there. Capital risk is actually but I just say this is some of the risks. So the risks that were involved in the global financial crisis, I mentioned some of them. I don't want to mention all of them. So credit, yes, capital risk is there. Liquidity risk is there. Liquidity risk actually the biggest problem. Market risk is there. All the risk we talked about was actually incorporated in the financial crisis. What I did to make it easier for you, I'll just give you 4. I'll give you 3, and they said that they were obvious. Those 3 were obvious in the was clear in the what you call in the video that I uploaded for you. This file will be uploaded for everyone. I uploaded the results, I uploaded this file, and I have the records for everybody else. This is already shared with you. In the shared document, I share in the shared documents. Please, I shared it last night. I mean, early morning, around 4 o'clock in the morning or something, after we finish. Okay, so everything I'm sharing with you guys, but I want you to read what those guys said. And I told you, if anybody, any one of you wants to know how he was evaluated, at least by our team, it doesn't have to be the best, But please write to me and I will come back to you and show you where you, okay. Now let's go to the next agenda. Any other questions, guys? I move from here, okay? Okay. There is, I think, one more question. No questions. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, so the next in my agenda is the test. And I want to give you some feedback and I want to, look, this is this is recorded, okay? So what please listen to it after a while if you don't, you know. So the test will be during the workshop, which is next week, 10:30, as you see. I give you 40 minutes and I give you 5 minutes readings. Now I want to tell you about this test. Last time we used something called sequential, which means you solve the first question, and this was to control collusions. Some students were solving it in groups. So you solve the first question, you go to the next questions, you cannot go to the first question back. Now, which means some students will want to see all the questions. This is the psychology of some students. They want to see all the questions, they get relaxed and they start. So I didn't actually, cater those type of student, but this time I make it, this sequential issue, how can we say, no more sequential, which means it's free now. You can go up, down, do whatever during your 5 minutes. So this time I'm changing it. Maybe there will be some other type of, trying to, but sequential, I will not use the sequential. Sequential feature. Okay. There is a question, sir. That's great. Thank you, sir. This is not a question. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. MSQs, yes. Yeah, I will. Can we go back and forth? Yes, you can go back and forth. Chen, this is a question for everyone. Please look. You can go back and forth as you like. Use your 40 minutes as you like. I'm not using the sequential feature, which I used it last semester. It's over. No more sequential. Okay? So don't worry about that, please. The other thing is you can take the 5 minutes, go look at all the questions, and then you come back. Okay? Look, there is one problem of collusions and all these things, but I will use my way. Not all of you, some of the students solve it in teams, which I don't like that. It's not against, it's against the actually the requirement and the exam quality and the procedures and regulations of Monash. But what to do? Some students were really solving alone, but they just scared, when they solve the question and they don't know what's going on, they get scared. Do we have to join the Zoom? No Zoom. There is no Zoom. But I will be around. I will stand by. If there is anything, just write me an email. Hopefully nothing will be there. You need to take the 40 minutes to solve the 20 questions. You don't have time. I mean, and I will do my best to solve everything, but if there is anything, I'm standing by, just send me a question. Before the test, I will send you a reminder, maybe 20 minutes, whatever. Use that email and reply if there is anything. Hopefully everything will be okay. but it will not be Zoom. It will be just, I will send you a reminder to start and then you start, okay? After the exam, will there be a workshop? No workshop after the exam. Week 3, there will be no workshop. I will extend the questions. I will extend the questions of the tutorial for week 3, so we can go. So we try to compensate for that. Besides, securitization topic is very, very brief one, very small one. The biggest chapter is actually week 2. Week 1 is okay, week 2 is long, week 3 is not that bad, okay? So no workshop, we will just finish and go. We will use the workshop for the exam. Now the structure, 20 multiple choice questions, week 1 plus week 2. This one, the spatialness will take spin questions, and the financial institution risk will take 13 multiple choice questions. All theory and, there will be theory and calculations, okay? And those questions, and those 20 questions. Resources. As I told you, I promised you for efficiency. So don't do anything. Just go look at lecture 1, lecture 2. They are clear. You can, if you have listened to the recording, no need to listen to them. Just scan your lecture 1, lecture 2. Look at tutorial 1 and tutorial 2. Look at workshop 1 and workshop 2. And I already uploaded for you test 1, and I uploaded all test 2. So I have 2 tests. So I don't know whether you can see it here. So this is what I uploaded for you, my friends. This is the old test, which is semester 2. It's all with the solution. If you have anything about this solution, if you want to ask, you can ask, and we will share a document. We will share a new document now for all those questions. You can email me, just email me or ask in the shared document. So this is the questions and the answers. Now, last time, this is around 20 questions. Yes, 21 questions. I removed the one that is not related because last time we test 3 weeks. This is only 2 weeks. Okay. I will also upload for you another test. So you have 2 tests, all tests you can see and exercise. I think that will be more than enough. And relax, understand what you are doing. We spent so much time in this class. It should be very okay. It should be very okay, my friends. Okay. Now, before I move from the test, because I will go to the workshop now. Let me see. Oh, we don't have enough time. Any questions about the test? Any questions in your head? Anything? Okay, there is one question. Please ask, don't ask privately. Huh? Is the quiz for the whole day or just, oh no, the quiz, it will be open. I'll show you this. It will be 40 minutes. It will be 40 minutes. You go, take it 40 minutes and finish, 45 minutes, sorry. So it will take you from 10:30 to 45 minutes and the test will be closed. So you have to be there at 45. It's not an open test. This is, it's not like an essay or whatever or pre-class. Any other questions? Can I move from this stage? Okay. Just anything in your head, it's okay. Otherwise, we'll just move to the Okay, now since we are going to do this, there is another question here. Sir, only can try once, right? Yes, attempt is once. What do you mean attempt is only can try once? So you will have a multiple choice questions, right? A, B, C, D, and then you click. Then you go to the next question. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you don't like that answer. Go and change it while you're on the test. I mean, you click A, then you change your opinion, maybe after 5 minutes, go back to that question and make B A. So you can. Oh no, the attempt is only one. The attempt is only one attempt. It's one attempt, and inside it's free. And yeah, will the workshop solutions be posted later? Yes, I already uploaded this. A workshop solution will be uploaded after this class, after we finish today. And the solutions of all workshops, was already uploaded. And the tutorial was uploaded. And all the tutorials were uploaded. All the solutions you have, all the recordings you have, all the lectures you have, nothing is there. Okay, now the coverage. Yes, any questions? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me go now to what I will do now. Actually, I want to use my my pen, and I want to write. So I will just send the video. And okay. Guys, last time my Surface Pro make a problem and disconnect me. If this is happening, please stand by. Don't go. I will come back. Okay, so this is the questions. So I want to tell you something about the multiple choice questions. See, the multiple choice questions like this. When you solve a multiple choice questions, look for the best answer. Look for the best answer. Don't get any, I mean, which means you have to read the 4 answers smoothly. You have to understand them all and then take the right answer. Don't, just, could be a trick. Don't be, just look one of the answer that you like and you don't go and see the others. Sometimes all of them is correct, but one is the most correct one. This is what I want to say. So this is what I want to say, which means you have to look for the best answer. So read all options and understand them. Okay. So sometimes there's tricks on those, which means it can give you one which correct answer, but the rest, the other one which is better or inclusive. So the first question is: a financial institutions invest 100 million in corporate bonds. This is about the financial institution risk exposed to the following risks: credit risk and interest rate risk, liquidity and technology risk, solvency and technology risk of balance sheet. So of course, when you have 100 million, there is 2 problems. One problem is the The interest rates, if this is the 100 million, so the interest rate is going up, which is interest rate risk, the price of your will go down. This is one problem, which is coming from the interest rate risk. Now, the other problem is just the counterparty will not pay you. Petronas or whatever, or any other company in the world, or Apple, or they just issue the bonds and they don't, they default. They cannot pay it back on time, or they don't pay it. And in this case is credit risk, defaulting. So this is actually credit risk. So this is, I give you the why. And when I give you the why, that doesn't mean you have to bring it in the exam. This is just for your explanation. Number two, an example of refinancing. Refinancing is like this, as we said. This is the interest rate risk. This is a loan, and this is the asset, which is the loan, and this is the liability, and this is year one, and this is year one, year two. You give this guy for 12%, as I told you, and this is for 10%. When you come and renew here, you don't know what is the rate. The rest, the uncertainty. So if this goes up, then if the I goes up and becomes now 12%, while you are locked up with this guy for, then there is a refinancing risk. So actually, refinancing risk comes when assets higher than liability. Maturity of assets, this is the maturities. Of asset higher than liability, which is this one. A fund 2-year maturity asset with 1 year maturity liability. Why? Because of the rolling over. So I will take this one. Number 2 is not right. 1 year maturity asset with 2 year maturity liability. This is what, huh? Anybody? Please help me. If this is refinancing, yeah, somebody answered said reinvestment. So this is actually reinvestment risk, which I didn't ask. I only asked about refinancing. So you will choose one. Fund 2 years maturity with 2 years, nothing here. None of the above is not right, is not right, is not right. So this is the right word. Maturity of liabilities is less than the maturity of assets, or maturity of assets is higher than. Number 3, why are depository institutions and life insurance companies more exposed to credit risk than, for instance, money market? Money market, a managed fund, this is short-term investors. Life insurance is long-term investors. This why, guys, bonds in this country, you talk about sukuk. So you are talking about 20 years. Okay, especially corporate bonds. And therefore, the farther the maturity, the more likely the counterparty will default. It's just uncertainty deep in the future. When you give a housing loan of 30 years, especially if it is when you give a bond for 30 years, especially when it is a zero coupon, and they will pay you at the end of 30 years, you don't know what would happen after 30 years. So actually, credit risk is high. Now somebody will tell me, so why they go there? Because the rate of the long term is much higher than the short term. And those people don't need the money. When I join Monash or you join your work, hopefully in 1 year or 2 years, and you start to pay to the pension fund, they will give you your money after 40 years when you retire, when you are 60. If you are now, I think most of you 18, 20 years. After 40 years, now they want to take this money and invest it for this long time. They give them good return and they have no liquidity problem, those insurance companies. So because the average maturity, which means how fast they are, of their assets are longer than those of money market managed funds. This is a short term. Banks invest for 3 months and 6 months because they have liquidity problem. Managed funds, especially because they keep, updating their portfolio, and there is insurance company, nobody, you will give them the money and you forget it. You cannot even withdraw it. You cannot withdraw your money before the 60. They do whatever. So when they take the money, they have no liquidity problem. So the best way for them is to invest it for a long time. So this is not right. They are not exposed to more risk. It doesn't make sense because they are not specialized in credit risk. All of this is not related. So this is the, so it's about the key word is maturity. Okay, let me go to number 4. The major difference between firm-specific credit risk and systematic risk is, look, I want to tell you something just to know it. This is the risk. This is systematic risk. And this is unsystematic risk. This unsystematic risk called firm specific. And this is already systematic, okay? We can use, you can use the word firm specific or can use unsystematic. And this is systematic, which is related to the market, related to the general economic situations. Now, this risk can be, this is the risk, right? From 0 to whatever. This risk up to here is a systematic one. And then you continue with this. This risk can go to 0. So this is, if this is 0 for the unsystematic, and this is 0 for the systematic, you can go to 0. Why? Because of diversification. So research said you can diversify up to some of the investors say 30. Some of them you go to Kuala Lumpur, Port Malaysia, or any other market, and you put the 960 listed companies in your portfolio. Some in technology, some in I don't know what, some small, some big, some all of those, some in tourism, some in medicine, some in, so you diversify. So they say, so to answer this question, if you understand what I mean here, so the risk, this is the whole risk. Part of it systematic and part of it unsystematic, which is firm specific. The firm specific you can diversify. So financial institution can diversify systematic credit risk. No, I cannot diversify it. It's a market. It's only one market. I cannot live in 20 countries. I'm operating in one country. While firm-specific credit risk cannot be diversified. Just the opposite. So this one is not right. Financial institution can diversify specific, yes. As I told you, I can buy from all those. Number C, none of the listed options are correct. Wrong. None of the listed options are correct. Financial institution cannot diversify their type of credit risk. It's not right. Financial institution can diversify both types. The problem is this one. Okay, so no diversification for systematic risk. This is the answer. Number 5, which of the following are examples of off-balance sheet risk? Look, off-balance sheet risk, we have not talked about it, but actually just we mentioned it a little bit. We mentioned it a little bit when we talked about the financial, the first part of week 2. But this off-balance sheet, we call it market related. This is contracts we do, but we don't contracts and commitment and contingent liabilities. We assume, but we don't record it because it's not crystallized. It has not been coming to a fact. It's just probabilities. So this is actually coming to market related and non-market related. What do you mean by market related? This is the derivative contracts, which means I can issue any derivative contracts related to the exchange rate or the interest rate or the inflation rate, whatever, interest rate and exchange rate generally. So if the interest rate moves or the exchange rate moves, then this derivative will move. So we call it market related. So this is actually the financial derivatives. Now the financial derivatives, when I go and make a contract now with you for 1 million barrel of oil, delivery after 3 months, price is $60, and I pay you nothing, and you pay me nothing. We just wait until 3 months. When the 3 months comes, if the price goes up or down, you compensate me or I compensate you, depends on the contract. We will talk about this in week 9 very clearly. But which means when I do the contract, there is nothing. Here is the same thing. This is like, so all financial derivatives work like this. When you sign it, it's for the future. So it's promises in the future. So nothing actually crystallized. This is the crystallized. Okay? Non-market related, like when I issue a guarantee. So you go to the bank now, you want to go to some type of bidding, and they ask you for bid bonds. For example, you are a contractor and you want to do some type of work for Sunway. So Sunway tell you the work is 1 million ringgit that contains some key, work in this SMRs or those buildings, whatever. So in this case, they ask you for 5% bid bond to take the contract, which means to guarantee that if they give you the contract, you will do. So in this case, you take it from the bank. The bank will give you without not recording anything. If you give the guarantee to Sunway and you do your work very well and you are a good contractor, Sunway will not go to the bank. The guarantee is issued for Sunway, telling them if my client is not performing, come and take the guarantee. So if the guarantee is okay, if you are okay, and Sunway is happy with you, so there is no crystallization for this off-balance sheet. And therefore, this is what we call it non-market. Okay? So actually, it can be a letter of credit, it can be loan commitment, it can be, this is non-market. I mentioned it a little bit in the, but if it comes in the exam, it will become like this one. Okay. Number 6, which of the following is suitable description of the term economic scope? We have talked about this in the tutorial. It's just producing many different financial products, many outputs out of one. So I have credit card information, customers. This includes age, income, history, car loans, house loans, all those things you have, they know about you, okay? Profession, all of those information, they know about it. and then address or where you stay. Then they decide, this is when they give you the credit card. The same customer, they decide to give you another, as I told you, they can give you more. Now they can issue tourism package or can car loan, wife credit card. They can give a, they can give so many things, recreation type of package, go to Langkawi, whatever. So the ability to generate cost savings by producing more than an output with the same input. I have this information. There is a question, what's the difference between B and C? Average operating costs by expending the number of outputs. This is the economic of scale. This is economic of scale. This is economic of scope. Yeah, C is economic of scale. And I'm asking about economic of scope. Make sense? Make sense? Okay, thank you. So number one, the use of several inputs to produce one common output. Does it make sense? B, already explained it. C, the ability to lower average. This is economic scope. The ability to operating cost lowering the number. This doesn't make sense. I mean, the wording even is not right. Okay, let's go to number 7. When you operate in another country, and this is actually a subject always with multinational companies, you have a problem, You have a problem. And the problem is those foreign countries can, stop the payments, stop any transfer of payments between the subsidiary and the parent company. Even if you do there any banking or operations, or you have customers, for example, customers from Africa come and take, from Sudan come, or from Nigeria, or from Brazil, or from even Thailand, Taiwan, those countries, Myanmar, that have political problems. And then they take huge loans, and then they are okay, they are operating. But when they come to transfer the amounts or their installments, their government say, no, we have problem with the foreign currency, no transfer. So this is what we call sovereign country risk. Politically motivated limitations on payments of foreign currency. Just imagine loan to foreign customer. To customer is not defaulting. But his government, but the government, the host government, stop payments, okay, of principal and interest. Stop payments in foreign currency. So this foreign currency is not paid, okay? So foreign government can stop any transfer of foreign currency out of the country. Okay, the risk that borrowers are unable to pay their loans on time called credit risk. So, and we call it in Malaysia or in many countries, MPL. You will pay. It's just you are late. You have the car loans, you are late. So 90 days, whatever, we call it non-performance loans. Okay. Let me go to the questions here. Assume that the bank, this is actually, this is what we call, this is foreign exchange risk. So you have 100 Aussie, Australian dollar, invested in Singapore, in Singaporean dollar, and the rate is 150. This is 100, it becomes 150. So this is giving you 8% per year. And you are Australian investor, okay? So the first question is, if the exchange rate increases from 2 to 1, which means now your investment is becoming, last time it's 150, now this 150, you divide it by 2, divided by 150 is 100. By 2, this is already 75 million. It was 100 million. Now it's 70 million because of the drop. Okay. Why? Because the currency, the Australian, the Singaporean dollar is weaker now. $1 of Australia is becoming 2. Last time it was a little bit stronger. So actually the dollar was appreciated, or actually was depreciated. And the right word is actually the Singaporean dollar was depreciated. This was fixed. But if you look at the exchange rate, we can say the dollar will have appreciated. And now that's okay. Now, what will be the impact of the balance sheet of the net interest income? So the last time this is case 1, I used to have 150, they give me 8%. $150 gave me 8%, it's 12 million. And the interest paid for my liability, because I take this a liability in Australia for 6%. 100 million liabilities. Yeah, it's 150 million. They have liabilities and assets and Singapore. So this is before the situation happened. So, and it's in Singaporean dollar. So they receive 12, and actually interest paid is 6, so they get 6. Now you measure this after devaluation. Now, before devaluation, in Australian dollar, this is N. So you divide 150 by the rate times 8%, it's 8 million. And you divide this interest paid 100 times, so 4 million, and you get 4 million actually, which is fair, either 6 million or 4 million according to the rate. So this is if you measure it in Australian dollar, this is if you measure it in Singaporean dollar. Now you want to measure it in your currency, which is the Australian dollar after the devaluation. The rate is becoming now is 2. And you just multiply 152, so you get 6 million and 3 million. So actually your income has dropped from 4 million to 3 million, or 25%, which is, this is because of the foreign exchange risk has led to a decrease in net interest income from 4 million to 3 million. So this is, I mean, the rate, still the rate, the customer did not default. It's just, this is an exchange rate problem. because of the devaluation of the Singaporean dollar, which you have all your investment assets and liability there. But when you convert it to your currency, then the problem started to show. Any question here? Can I move? Number two, what is the technical definition of the term duration? Duration. Now, duration, how duration model is different from repricing model. Duration takes the weighted average time to maturity using the relative present value, which means I will show you now. If you have a loan of 3 years, if you take it in duration, maturity of 3 years according to the repricing model, according to the duration, it will be less. The duration measures the average life of asset and liability in economic terms. If you don't understand that, just take the weighted average to maturity using the relative present value. I think this is the right word, present value. So we are taking the present value and we are taking it the average. So duration differs from the maturity as a measure of interest rate sensitivity. Maturity, we use it for the repricing model because duration takes into account the arrival and the rate. So you have to take the duration, as I told you. If you have 3 years from 1 to 3, you take the present values times the time over 1 to 3 for the present value of T's. And this will give you the duration. Now, let me give you an example. Look at this loan. You have a loan of, actually, this loan is 30,000. And it ends in 3 years, year 1, year 2, year 2. But the arrangement is the cash flow will be in year 1, T2 and T3, in year 1, year 2, and year 3. According to the repricing model, the gap the dollar gap, according to the repricing model, risk-sensitive asset will be 3 years. Here, the case is different. We have to discount this one. So this is actually the discount rate, which is actually this amount is 10,000 over 1 plus to the power of 1. This one is actually 10,000 to the power of 2. And this is 10,000 over 1.10 to the power of 3. So it's the present value. It will be present value here for T1, present value of T1, T2, present value of T3, and I have to add them up. And this is actually this number. And don't ask me how do they come with the proof. There is a proof for this model, for this formula, which is this one. So I want to put this in the numerator and this in the denominator. So now here, I just multiply this by T. This is by 1, this is by 2, this is by 3. And then I add them up all here, and I divided this by this. So actually I divided the 48 over 20, 937. This actually loan was 3 years. There is a question. If the duration is, wait. Zooming is saying, is it 16,528? Maybe I have a problem with my calculation. 16,528, which means this one. Please talk. You mean this one? Yeah. Did you calculate it? 826. How much the difference is 1, right? Maybe it's rounding.
But 8264 times 2 is like 16528, right?
Let me use my calculator. 8264. Yeah, my friend. I don't know why. Maybe there was rewind. Because when you get this one, we round here. Us actually, we round here. If you multiply 10,000 times 8624, yeah. So this is how much will be 8, right? I don't know why 16529. Maybe it's rounding. Which means this will be 7. Which means this will be 7. So it will not affect actually, my friend, huh? Juming? It will not affect because if you divide this 937, it will be the same. 1 year and 937. It will not actually make a big difference.
Oh, wait, do we need to round off or something?
1652893. 16528. Huh? Whether this is 8 or 9, it will not reflect this one, but I think it's a rounding number here. Mavis, okay? Mavis is saying 16528.93. Yeah, which means 16528.93. There is rounding. Where did we get the 93, huh? 8264 times 2, it should be 65. I think the rounding is coming from here. 8264. I think there is a rounding here. This one, if you round it, can you get this one? You discount it, and then I think there is a rounding here. Yeah. See, please look at the Cham. JChem is already made calculation, so there is a rounding. Okay, my friend, can we move from here? There is another question, I think, which is about the. If the duration is shorter than the maturity, means it's less sensitive to interest rate. No. This is from my best. Saying if the maturity, it is not shorter. It is a concept. We calculate the concept. We don't calculate. The loan still be paid in 3 years. However, the cash flow, they transfer the cash flow and they make it in terms of risk shorter. This is the concept of duration. The loan is not going to be paid in 2 years. No, the cash flow and the risk involved will be like 2 years. This is what they mean. Somebody said, will the discount factor will be given? I can give you the discount factor. Actually, last time I gave these 3 columns, these 2 columns, these 3 columns. I will take care of that. And if not, I will take care of that. Don't worry about the discount rate. Okay? Let me now move to the next question. We don't have more time. Oh, another question. Means that the risk of the loan is about 2 years. Yes, Mavis, you are right. The risk of the loan is all 2 years. So when we calculate our exposure for the interest rate risk, it's like it's for 2 years. That's what we mean. Okay. So this is what we calculated here. Can I move, guys, from here? Any voice? Please just say yes or say no if you want me to wait here. Can I move? Anyone, please? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. So let's go to this one. We already know this one before. But the question now, I want to transfer it to, how do we do it, and if we are going to do it in durations. In durations, which means somebody has to tell me how is the payment pattern of this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, all of those, and you have to add them up, all, which is like what we did here. We have to take the note and take it, how much it will be paid, in what year, what is the discounts, and then we discount it. And then we get a number, okay, for each one. And then, or for each horizon. And then we get the duration for the assets and liabilities. This is only one security. But if this guy, we will have to do it for all, and then we get. If we calculate it and we find the duration for the asset 341, and the duration for the liability is 3.5, we can calculate the duration gap. So the duration gap is duration of the assets minus K, which is the leverage, which is the asset over liabilities, liabilities over asset, or duration of liabilities. So now they already told us that so in this case, duration of asset is 341. Duration of liabilities is K, which means 320 over 320, 335. This is the what? The leverage, which is the K. Then we times the 3.4, 3.5. And we find that to be plus 0.7. This is not the end of the duration, because after I get this, the duration when I want to calculate the change on equity. The change in equity will be duration of assets minus duration of liabilities, duration of leverage, duration of liabilities. This has to be multiplied by the assets. This has to be multiplied by the change of R over 1 plus R. And then we will have to get the impact. So this one, which is this number, which you get 0.7, which will be here. Will be here. And then I have to give you the assets and liabilities. This is now, in this example, I'm calculating only the first part, which is the most important thing. Okay. Now let's go a little bit. What is the impact over the 30 days net interest income? This is repricing. This is I think we have done this. Sorry, sir, I need to leave the class now. Oh, it should, okay, you can go. So what we should do, guys, I have only one question. I think we have only this question, which is the last question. So in the last question, we have duration of assets, duration of liabilities. We have the duration of the bond. So we have 30-year, 10-year, 30-year, 10% semi-annual coupon treasury bond selling at par. The duration of this bond has been 994, which is the asset now. And then the problem is the liability. This has financed with equity, and 900 2-year 7.25%. So you need to calculate this liability, because the 10 million, the 1 million, 1 million, 900 equity and 100 here. So all of this calculation is actually, we are calculating because it's semi-annually. So we calculated the, for half year, 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 years. This is the payments, which is actually the 900 times over 2. So you calculate it here, you take the present value, you take the present value of the times t, and you calculate this and this, and you bring the duration of liabilities. Now, if you have the duration of liabilities and you have the duration of the assets, you can calculate it. Duration asset minus duration liabilities over the assets, which is, we have equity of 100. So we have the liabilities of 9, the asset of, and we get this 823, which is the leverage adjusted duration gap. If we know this, and we know the change in the interest rate is 10, so we just go and calculate the change in equity. So 994 minus this is the duration, this is the K, which is the, and this is the asset, and this is the change. And we find the change in equity of this number. Maybe say it should be 177. 177, which one? Yeah. Sorry, guys. This number should be 1707 times 900 divided by 900. Sorry, I just mixed. So now it's like this, but the number, this number is right. Okay. I'm done now. Any questions? Any questions? You can talk.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What does the duration gap tells you? Sorry if this was asked.
What does the duration gap tells you, right? Or tells me, right? The duration gap tells me what is the difference between the time needed to repay the assets and the time needed to pay the liabilities. The conceptual time, not the real time, according to the duration. So in this case, it says the assets will be paid 7, when we look at that, 0.7 years, which is 70% of a year or something. So it tells us the time difference between the two. Now, we know the time difference between the two. We take that one and we multiply it by the asset and the change in the interest rate. So the longer we have in the assets, if the interest rate is increasing, then in this case, I will be more exposed to the interest rate risk because my asset will drop more. Because the asset is actually, the price of the asset is the cash flow over 1 plus I. So the duration model does not actually measure the net interest income. It measures a more comprehensive measure, which is the equity, the change in equity, which is the net worth. The equity is the assets minus the liability. So this model was designed to measure the equity.
See, so like if the average duration of the asset is more than the liability, it means that meaning that the company is more exposed to refinancing risks. Is it?
Refinancing risk, Karim, it is more exposed to the change. No, it has nothing to do with the loans. Um, it has, look, this has more to do with the floating loans or floating investments. So if I have investment of 100 million, I am exposed to a decrease in the value of this investment. The longer the time, if there is an increase in the interest rate, as I told you, and they have 100 million, then in this case, I can be, if I have a zero duration, which means the liabilities ends in the same time in terms of cash flow and the average payments, if they have zero, which means, yes, my liability, my assets will drop, but my liabilities also will drop. Now, when we say the asset is higher, which means the drop in the asset values will be more than the drop on the liability side. Makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Duration is a concept that is a little bit confusing, but it could be understood. So it only deals with the change in equity. It doesn't deal with the change in assets. Oh, with change in net interest income.
Sir,
Yes.
does duration measure how long it takes for an investor to be repaid the price of a security by its cash flows? Does it measure that as well?
Mavis, can you rephrase the question? So how is the security measured in what?
Does duration measure how long does it take for an investor to be repaid the securities price by its total cash flows?
Yeah, so the duration measures the duration, the time is still the time. So if I told you it's 3 years, but it is still, this 30,000 should be in 3 years. It's still paid in the 3 years. However, the risk exposure, if you change it to time, and if you change it to this concept of time of exposure for the interest rate, it will be less. So it measures, the payment is still in 3 years. However, the cash flow, the duration actually translate that cash flow to a new timing called the duration, which is actually the impact of the interest rate is in the duration. This concept of duration, just understand it as it is. Why? Because it's an average, actually, an average of the timing, taking into consideration the cash flow. So actually, because we are concerned about the risk of the interest rate changes. Now, assuming I have a 1 million ringgit loan, which the contract said the loan is going to be paid 90% of it at end of year 1 and 10% of it end of year 10. And you have another loan, the same thing, then 1 million will be paid equally over the 10 years. Now, the changes in the interest rate, if there is a changes in the interest rate, the first loan is less exposed because you already received the cash. Yes, the loan in terms, the contract still for 10 years and there is 100,000. So they come with this idea of discounting the amounts. So when I discount the amounts of the interest rate in the first loan, which is 90% paid in the first year, it will be less riskier than the second one, which is 10 equal payments over the 10 years. This is what the duration comes to the picture.
Sir.
Make sense?
So can I say like let's say if a bank has a loan with maturity of 3 years, but the duration is only 2 years, means that the time of exposure to interest rate risk is only 2 years because I have already received the cash within the 2 years, is it?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so our concern is actually not the time of the loan. Our concern is our exposure to the interest rate. As you said, yeah. Any other question, guys? Any other question you think about? So if there is no questions, my friends, I will say thank you. And I will upload all those things as I promised you. And if you have any questions, just contact me. Okay? Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
day. Thank you. Good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Shaban.